Hi, I'm now on to the top 10 when it comes to my superhero ranking. Number 10 is a character that I don't think a lot of people know. And feel free to let me know if you do know the character. Number 10 is Atomic Betty. Atomic Betty is the protagonist of a cartoon show from the 2000s, and I have a lot of nostalgia for it. And Atomic Betty is a cartoon show that, like Inspector Gadget, it feels like it follows a formula, but it is a formula that I really enjoy, and I feel like it's reliable and consistently entertaining. And I think that Atomic Betty herself is a really great character, very lovable, and I have a very big soft spot for her. She is the first female superhero that I can ever remember really caring about. I think there were some female superheroes I had a casual interest in, but I feel like it wasn't until Atomic Betty that there was a female superhero that I really cared about a lot. So I think I'll always have a soft spot for her because of that. And I have so much nostalgia for that time period, and I think Atomic Betty has one of the greatest theme songs of all time, and I really care about the character a lot. 9 and 8 are two characters that go together, and I think that most people like the characters. I just don't think that most people would have them in their top 10, which I think makes sense. 9, Barnacle Boy, 8, Mermaid Man. Both characters from SpongeBob SquarePants. And I think that SpongeBob SquarePants is one of the most popular cartoon shows of all time. I wonder if it's the most popular at this point. And I think that Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy are two of the most loved supporting characters in the franchise. Uh, but I don't think a lot of people love them enough to be in their top 10 for superheroes. Uh, I do really love SpongeBob as a show, so I've seen it a lot, and my favorite episodes are the superhero episodes, the episodes focused on Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, and I do love a lot of the non superhero focused episodes, but if I had a big preference for the big episodes, I feel like must see episodes that I love rewatching so many times, and I feel like I can never get bored of them. It's the Merryman Barnacle Boy episodes, and I think that Merryman Barnacle Boy are two of the most entertaining superhero characters of all time. I really enjoyed them a lot. I think they're both fantastic and about equal. So it was even hard to put one above the other. They're both amazing, and they're such great characters. And I could definitely understand why a lot of people wouldn't even have them in their top 50. And I feel like there are a lot of superheroes that like they have way better storylines and are more complicated and have gotten a lot more screen time and stuff like that. But if we're going for personal preferences, I love the Rayman Barnacle Boy episode so much, and they're some of my favorites. And Merryman and Barnacle Boy really do stand out and really mean a lot to me. So I feel like them being in their top 10 makes sense for me personally, and I could definitely understand why a lot of people would have them lower. But if there's anybody watching that would put them in their top 10, feel free to let me know. Um, Number 7 for me is He Man. I feel like He Man definitely had a pretty high spot because I love Masters of the Universe. A lot of why I love Masters of the Universe does come from Skeletor, but I think that He Man is a great character too. He's a character that I enjoy the strength of the character. Um, and I feel like he is a very heroic character, and I do think he actually does have a lot of personality and is really fun to watch. And I feel like He-Man and Skeletor have one of the best rivalries. They're so much fun together, and He-Man's such a cool character that I do have a very strong connection to. I grew up watching the 2000s He-Man cartoon show, and I loved watching the 80s He-Man cartoon show, and there's just so much great He-Man stuff. Really care about the character. Six is She-Ra. Uh, He-Man and She-Ra both mean a lot to me. I did put She-Ra above He-Man. I do think that in terms of stories, I do think she is a more interesting character, even though I do love He-Man. She-Ra is a fantastic character that's really gone through a lot. I love her backstory with the Horde and how she really grew as a character, her complicated dynamic with Hordak, and I love the 80s She-Ra cartoon show, and I love the She-Ra reboot cartoon show. I think they're both amazing for very different reasons, but I really love them both. Number five is Raven from the Teen Titans. I consider myself a big fan of the Teen Titans, and there are a lot of good characters and a lot of good stuff in the Teen Titans franchise, but I think why I care about the Teen Titans franchise so much is because of Raven. One of the coolest characters of all time. A character who I think has a personality that is as cool as her powers, and she has a great backstory, amazing interaction with the Teen Titans. She's a character that can work really well in dramatic storylines, and she's surprisingly fantastic in more comedic stuff as a character that can react to the silly stuff going on around her. I really love Raven a lot. And part of me would love to put Raven even higher. I feel like the only problem I have when it comes to Raven that would hold her back is that I feel like she hasn't gone enough solo stuff, enough stuff where she's the main focus. I have so badly wanted a Raven film. I've also wanted Raven to have her own show, but even without that stuff, she still made it to number five, which is still amazing. Definitely love the character, and she is definitely my favorite female DC superhero and favorite female DC character in general. Number four is my favorite Marvel character, Professor X from X Men, who didn't used to be even my favorite X Men character, but he has really grown on me so much in recent years. Patrick Stewart's one of my favorite actors, so that certainly helps. But I also love Professor X as a character that wants people to come together to find an understanding. Instead of Magneto going after revenge, Professor X wants peace, and I feel like his dynamic with Magneto is so endlessly fascinating. And I really love the morality of Professor X. I particularly love his storyline in Days of Future Past, which, in my personal opinion, is the best Marvel film that I've ever seen. Um, I think that Professor X is one of the most interesting superheroes of all time and a character that deeply means a lot to me on a very personal level. And Patrick Stewart's Professor X, one of the best. Number three is Superman. I love Superman so much. Definitely one of my favorite fictional heroes. Not just one of my favorite superheroes, but one of my favorite fictional heroes because he is one of the main characters that gives me hope, that gives me comforting feelings. A character that when I think about, I can be in a good mood. And there have been so many good versions of Superman. So many brilliant actors have played the role. Christopher Reeve has such a big impact on my life, and even thinking about him and his legacy brings me so much comfort. I think that he uh, was one of the most amazing people, and I adore him. Uh, I have so much nostalgia for Brandon Roof's time as Superman, even though it was brief. I love him. Just Superman means so much to me and is one of the very best characters. Number two is Batman, and I think almost everybody would think that Batman would be number one. And for such a long time, Batman was number one. I think he's had more good adaptations than any other superhero, and possibly more than any other character in all of fiction. Um, with arguably the best ensemble of villains. But even without those ensemble villains, Batman himself is one of the most interesting characters. A character that can be hilariously over the top. He can also be incredibly gothic. He's had lots of really emotional storylines. He's had hilariously weird stories. There's so many takes on Batman that I love. Adam West um, will always mean so much to me. I absolutely adore him. Uh, I love Michael Keaton, so much nostalgia for his time as Batman, so much nostalgia for Batman the Animated Series, for the 2000s Batman cartoon show The Batman. So many versions of Batman that mean a lot to me. But I really don't like the Batman, the 2022 Batman film. I feel like a lot of modern Batman stuff has gone in too much of a serious direction, too much of just a downer direction. And I don't want to have a character at number one that I don't have too much excitement for the character's future. I feel like that would be kind of bleak, even though I'll always have a soft spot for the Batman stuff that I love. Number one is a character that I went back and forth on whether this character counts as superhero or not. For my ranking, I think the character counts. I don't think a lot of people will agree with me. You can let me know. Number one is Elsa from Frozen. I feel like my best argument is if Iceman counts, Elsa should count. In addition to arguably being one of the most stylish characters in animation, maybe the most stylish character that's ever been animated, with such amazing songs, I feel like Elsa has had the story arc that's connected me more than any other characters on the list, that's inspired me and helped me the most as a person. Seeing a character that is so powerful, so beautiful, and had such a high position of power as the queen be so vulnerable and unsure of herself and find empowerment and find self-confidence is one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen in animation, and has meant so much to me on such a deeply personal level. I think that Elsa in Frozen 2 has had one of the best character arcs of a character in fiction, and it has meant so much to me, has stuck with me through the years. And there's a lot to love about Elsa, and I think that she could be the greatest character in all of fiction, and if not, is at least one of them. And as much as I love Batman, as much as he introduced me to loving superheroes and so many things, and I feel like Elsa is the best.